Brothers and sisters, I have been getting edumacated on this here vaccine, jab, injections, whatever you want to call it. In the last 3 weeks or so, I've been getting edumacated right here in the comments section on my channel. I've been reading stuff like, wow, and here I thought you were a really smart guy until you went and took the Luciferious snake bite. Huh? Of course, Mark of the Beast, we addressed that last week. And there were dozens of folks who said, yeah, put a magnet up to it and see what happens. I was like, what's all this stuff even mean? So, of course, I started Googling. I started doing my research. Well, brothers and sisters, we're going to put it to the test. I have with me a magnet. Look, metal hairpin. See that? It's a real magnet, really works. We're going to put it to the test because today I got number 2, okay? So I'm now fully through this process. I know. Go on and do unto me as you would have done unto you right here in the comment section, brah. Oh, you forgot about that part. Kind of like the last few comments, you must have forgotten about that judge not lest he be judged himself thing. Oh, okay. Hey, it's okay, because you're doing the man's work for him, making his workload lighter. When he comes down, he gets to skip over me because you done judged me for him, and he's going to go straight to you, brah. So just make sure your slates and ledgers are clean, okay? Now listen, in all seriousness, I am not a doctor. I am not, I'm not a lot of things. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. Did you guys notice what my magnet said? It says, I cannot live without books. Quote by Thomas Jefferson. Me and my beautiful bride, Dearly, a.k.a. Giggly Girl, and our son Daniel, we bought this up at Monticello, home of Thomas Jefferson, here in Charlottesville. Dearly started this thing when she first got to the U.S. 5 years ago. Anytime we visit a place like that, or Mount Vernon, which we've been to up in, I think it's Alexandria, just out, or Fairfax, George Washington's house. She likes to buy a refrigerator magnet. So our refrigerator has no shortage of magnets. We got the Outer Banks in North Carolina, Wright Brothers Museum down there. Just, that's her thing. Magnets from all over DC. Everywhere she visits, she gets a magnet. So we got a magnet. We're going to do this. Lots of people, like I said, put a magnet up to it because I was getting a refid chip for a tracking device, and something about heavy metals in the injection. They were so heavy, they were magnetic. So I started Googling this stuff. And again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist, but I am a writer, and I'm a pretty good one. Okay? Somebody asked recently in the comments, and I think it was a longtime viewer, Jim Stump, correct me if I'm wrong, Colonel, but he wanted to know the story of how I went from being third world poor during my down and out in the Philippines years to be able to come back to the U.S., come to the greater Charlottesville area and buy a decent sized chunk of land where in a nice house with a pond and fish, and where real estate ain't cheap. Well, it's a relatively short story. I bought it with money I earned from writing. Listen, I hear you. You're saying you're not really that good, though. I've read some of your books, which, by the way, are all available in print or Kindle from Amazon. The link is in the description box below. Well, years ago, I wrote journalism, and I wrote tabloid rubbish. Though I'm not qualified to talk about anything medical or scientific other than my own experiences, okay? These guns are getting so big from, cutting all that big giant pine tree that fell down, throwing them logs around. They could barely get my sleeve up today to give me that second injection. I have to start buying shirts with bigger armholes here if I keep just blowing up like this. I am qualified to talk on conspiracies, okay? Another viewer asked some time ago, and I never answered this question, which conspiracy theories I believed in. My answer, none of them. Why? Because I used to create them. Why? Because I was paid to do so. Why? Because I was a writer for tabloid rubbish. And, you know, you hear people screaming about the big money in pharmaceutical for pushing this. Let me tell you, there is big money in pushing conspiracies, fake narratives, fake news, and people associate that term fake news with only one side because of the person that kind of made that term popular in modern culture. But let me tell you, I wrote for both sides because both sides paid me. I would write a story. Back in 2015 is when I was having my heyday as far as conspiracies and all this kind of stuff. I worked for publications that had tabloids that catered to left-minded people and right-minded people. And my job as a writer was to sit there and write one story about how Hillary Clinton would be best to lead our country because of this, and that, and the other guy is terrible. Then I would write the exact same story saying what the other guy would be best to lead our country because of this, and that, and Hillary Clinton would be absolutely the worst choice because of whatever. Same writer, writing the same story, different spin, submitting to the same editor, those stories being published in two different tabloid rubbish pieces being read by millions. Now, I didn't write a lot of news because it bored me. I really just don't get into politics. It's the same old, same old, same old. My specialty back when I was a tabloidist was conspiracies and celebrity rumor gossip type stuff. I'm just gonna put it out there. There were at least 3 different tabloid rubbish crap articles that I wrote when I was working for these, I'm going to say Yahoos because that's what they were, but it wasn't Yahoo, though I did used to write for Yahoo. But with that was actually real, honest essay type work, like the world-renowned, award-winning You've Come a Long Way Soldier, the short story written on females in combat arms roles. True story. So guess what? I might have made enough to buy dinner that night. But this tabloid stuff, that's answering Mr. Sum's question, how do I buy this place? Seriously, this is the truth. So I wrote at least 3 stories that were not true in any way, shape, or form that made their way to mainstream media, okay? And I'm talking all, not just, CNN, not just Fox News, but both, okay, and TMZ, an entertainment piece. Now, you can do your best to fact check this, but we, and I say we because there were quite a few of us doing this, we wrote under pen names, okay? Story 1, it was a softball. My editor lobbed me a softball. Excuse me, there's a bunch of pollen in the air, and I may have swallowed a gnat. All right. A Malaysian airliner went missing. You guys remember this back around 2015. Tragic. My editor contacts me and says, she liked my writing. She said, do you think you could make up a story that this airliner was abducted in flight by a UFO in such a way that it would be believable? And I said, well, of course. That's like a softball. That's all you want? And she said, yeah. She goes, I know. She says, that's kind of like an age-old storyline, but there's a lot of people out there. And listen, these editors I worked for, the people that own these publications, were they left, were they right? Neither. You know what they were? Capitalists. And I'm not bad-mouthing capitalism. They wanted to make money. Listen, when you're reading crap on the internet, on social media, if you think for a minute that the person that wrote that crap or the publication that published that crap thinks like you do, well, you might be right, but you might not be. They don't care. They're trying to make money. Listen, here's what I learned through my years, and I was a journalist way back in college, okay, quarter of a century ago. When people view media, they don't go there to read or to see or to hear the truth. People go to their media outlet of choice to confirm what they already believe. They want confirmation that what they currently believe is correct. So when I did this kind of work, we weren't trying to change people's minds. We weren't trying to win hearts and souls. We were marketing towards existing audiences. There were people out there who wanted to believe that these airliners that go missing are taken by UFOs so that the people can be studied by alien life forms. I would write that stuff up. My editors would publish it, and that piece, I was sitting... during the down and out years in the Philippines when we could barely afford to eat, fast forward till I'm doing this tabloid rubbish, I was sitting in a steakhouse, in a Japanese steakhouse in the Philippines because I happened to go out for a walk that afternoon, and I smelled the food cooking when I walked by, and I went in there and just got a steak because I wanted to, and paid more money for that steak than the year before when I wasn't writing this stuff. It would have been enough money to feed my family for more than a week. But I could do it that day, and I'm sitting in that steakhouse, and they're blaring some kind of news, mainstream media, and this story comes across about how there was now this new conspiracy that UFOs had taken that missing airliner. And I laughed so hard the food came out of my mouth, and the waitress happened to be standing there talking to me, and she asked me what was wrong. I said, nothing. I said, you see that nonsense right there? And she's watching. She goes, yeah. I said, I wrote that. I made that up. True story, okay? Now, number 2. This wasn't an editorial assignment. I was online. I saw a picture. I don't even know how I came across it. I wasn't doing any, nasty Google searches or anything, but I happened to come across an image of one of my childhood celebrity crushes, teen years, early adulthood celebrity crushes, Christina Ricci, okay, who was wearing an outfit. She was dressed up like Morticia Addams, the mother in the Addams Family. Now, if you remember, there was a movie version of the Addams Family in which Christina Ricci played Wendy, was that her name? Or Wednesday, the little girl. And in my mind, I just thought, how cool would that be if they made another Addams Family movie, but instead of having Christina Ricci play Wednesday, she played Morticia. This time she got to, man, because what a smoking hot Morticia she would make, because she was wearing that. I don't know, maybe it was around Halloween, I don't know, but I just happened to find that image. So I just sat down and whipped out a story for the tabloids I was working for, and I was working for several, man. If you were good, man, they'd hire you. They didn't care if you were working for the competition. I might have been working for 5 or 6 tabloids at once. So I pumped out a story. They were going to remake this movie. They were secretly filming it already. Nobody was supposed to know. Christina Ricci was going to play Morticia Addams. We published it. It went viral. That story was getting 5,000 views per hour for days. And was it later that evening or maybe the next day, I saw that story reported on TMZ. Now, what they did is they went in and they debunked it. They didn't confirm that, it was true and that they were making this movie, because it wasn't happening, folks. I made it up. And I thought, wow, look at that, another one. This one made it to TMZ, arguably the world's largest entertainment network. And it wasn't even true. I started thinking, gee, am I doing the right thing here? Maybe I should go back to just writing my books. Fact of the matter is, guys, nobody was buying my books. Nobody knew who I was. And I wanted to continue to eat steaks. I didn't want to go back to wonder where mine and my family's next meal was going to come from. So I kept doing it. But I'm going to tell you when I stopped. It was heartbreaking. There was a famous person that died, and my editor contacted me. This person happened to be working for a charity, and I'm not even going to be specific here and you'll understand why when I tell you. This person was working for a charity to raise knowledge of, and they passed away in an accident. And my editor contacted me and say, "Hey, did you hear about so-and-so?" And I said, "Yes." And I see that, potentially. She wanted me to write a piece about, and this is utter nonsense, but it was one of the biggest going, most popular beliefs at the time about, world population control or whatever. And the story was to be that this guy had, information he wasn't supposed to have, and he was going to go to the press with it. And so they took him out before he could do it. I did that. I wrote that piece, submitted it to my editors, and it went viral. 5,000 to 10,000 views per hour for days and days. And it made its way to mainstream media. And I didn't feel good about it. I'll tell you that. And somehow, this individual had a daughter the same age as one of my daughters, who at that time and until now I've been out of contact with for a long time. And I saw where this individual's daughter posted something online about how much she missed them, and it broke my heart. It broke my heart, and I quit. I stopped, and the revenues, of course, started going away. But by that time, I was kind of had some of my own stuff going, and I was able to sustain myself to a degree. I wasn't bringing in the numbers like I was when I was writing all that stuff. I just couldn't do it anymore. But the market didn't disappear for it. There is a huge market out there for this kind of stuff. I remember being asked to write pieces about this. No, I didn't create this one. This was all over mainstream media. There was this thing called Jade Helm years ago. I was given the information. It was this huge conspiracy. They were coming to take your bang sticks from you. Well, I served in the Army National Guard. I deployed to Iraq with the Washington Army National Guard, attached to an active Army unit while we were over there. This stuff that was going on, all these troop movements around the country and stuff, that was annual training. It's called AT. You know how they say, join the National Guard 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year. There was a meme that used to go around Facebook. I think it was a sign in front of a tent in Afghanistan. It was from one of the National Guard units that were on deployment over there. It said, 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year, my ass. That's the truth of it. Guess who gets deployed first? The National Guard. Yeah. D-Day? Here's some military history for you don't know. One of the units that stormed those beaches on that day when we lost 30,000 American soldiers, Allied troops, the 29th Infantry Division from right here in Virginia. That's why the D-Day Memorial is down in Bedford, Virginia. That little community in southwestern Virginia lost more men per capita that day than any other community in the United States. That's why they put the D-Day Memorial down there in Bedford, Virginia. I've been to it. Visit it. It'll break your heart and make you cry. There's a book called The Bedford Boys. Read that. Read all about it. It's a good book if you want to know some more history about that. But yeah, this National Guard stuff, 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year, yeah, it's all well and good until we're in a time of war. Then it's like you may as well have gone active duty. But hey, it's all good. But my point to this is, this Jade Helm crap, that was just that summer annual training. Man, and I've done that when I was with the Washington Army National Guard. The year after we got back from Iraq, we had this huge massive convoy, convoying all the way from the western part of the state. We were over there, going all the way to the eastern part of the state, over in the Yakima Desert, where all the apples come from. Every time I get apples here, my favorite, of course, being Red Delicious. They're red and they're delicious. I always read the bag. Most of them say product of Yakima, Washington, or whatever. Brings back memories. Sleeping out in the desert for 2 weeks. But that's all that was. But there were people who wanted to believe. They wanted to believe it was something it wasn't. They were an existing market. We were able to cater to them. And again, you're saying Big Pharma is making a ton of money off of this? There's a lot of people making a ton of money off of pushing belief systems you hold that aren't necessarily true. Now, there's this one that, I've been, Luciferius snake bite. Here's a refid chip and all that. And we're going to test it here in a minute with a real magnet. But again, main points I would want to reiterate here is that ask yourself next time you're tuning in to read or to listen to or watch whatever, are you doing it because you really want to know what's going on? Or are you doing it because you want to have confirmed in your mind what you already believe? I have no agenda. I'm not pushing the injections, and I'm not telling you not to take them. Me, personally, I did it. Now, does that mean that I have no faith because I did this, because I put my faith in modern medicine and modern science and modern technology? Does that mean I cannot believe in a higher power, a power greater than myself? Absolutely not. Who or what, in my opinion, do you believe instills the intelligence, the knowledge, the know-how into these modern day healers to come up with this stuff? Hey, I know a lot of doctors and scientists have God complexes, but they're not my God. And I believe the one that is the one who gives them the gifts that they pass on to me. That's just my belief, okay? Here we go. Ready? Real magnet. I dropped my hairpin, but this is it. So let's see if I can get the shirt up over the guns here. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to start buying bigger shirts. Isn't that something? All right, here we go. Magnet side. Does it stick? 3, 2, 1. Huh. Look at that. Oh, what's that, brah? The Band-Aid's blocking it? Okay. Hold on, let's take this off. Yeah, you can tell I got them at Walgreens. Not sponsored. Okay, let's try it now. Let's see, where is it? Okay, right there. 3, 2, 1. Huh. All right. Well, that's your little chat for today. Done with my coffee, so you know what it's time for. What's that, brah? Is this real? Potentially.